What do you see in terms of the direction Venezuela's going at the moment? How do you foresee that turning out?
I wish I could answer that clearly. All I can tell you now is that there are two forces in increasingly violent conflict. Today is the 3rd of April, sorry. And yesterday, the 2nd of April, the political leader of the far right, who has been behind and encouraging, 8 weeks of burning barricades, of increasing violence, of confrontation, of attacks on public buildings and public facilities and so on, encouraged them, even though she is herself from a millionaire family, but she is the leading edge. Her name is Maria Corina Machado. Until not very long ago, she was a minority leader on the right. For various reasons, she has come under attack from the National Assembly and from the government, and is now becoming something of a hero of the right. The problem is this: the demonstrations begin around real problems faced by people, the result of inflation, speculation, rising prices, and government inefficiency. It's the middle class the kind of the what do you call it? The squeezed middle that have felt that, and the demonstrations expressed their frustration. Now the problems are real and they affect everybody. They affect the working class less because there are subsidized supermarkets, health services and so on. So the poorer sections feel it less and they are protected by government. But anyway, it began as a protest around a real economic problem, which I think the government should have answered honestly and addressed and said, look, we are looking for solutions, these are they. But they could only do that if they could demonstrate that they were taking serious measures around corruption at the level at which it was, at which it was present in Venezuela. Serious measures, not just rhetorical, but serious measures. Instead, they denounced these movements. At first, they were largely students who built the barricades. Building barricades is an absolutely central form of popular protest and always has been. They call them guarimbas. I don't really know what that means, but except that it means burning barricades. And it is in Argentina and so on, that blocking highways is a way of exercising your power. Okay. But then other elements began to move in, particularly outside Caracas on the Colombian areas on the frontier with Colombia, where there are very powerful paramilitary forces moving over from Colombia who are very heavily armed. And Venezuela is a very heavily armed society. So I think it is becoming increasingly intense. The government is now responding fairly ferociously, which it didn't do at first. There are more arms appearing on the barricades. We don't know who the hooded and balaclavaed protesters are. I mean, the great irony is that these things are going up in middle-class areas. So it's the middle class making its own life unbearable. The working-class areas are largely passive so far. But it's getting very close, I think, to a point of confrontation. When that happens, the 60% of Venezuela who are supporters of Chavez, or Chavismo, 50%, are unlikely to sit there and let themselves be attacked. In that case, things can go very wrong. I just heard this morning that a whole area of the east of the country, which has been deemed to be safe, there are almost no basic goods in the supermarkets. The mail is not reaching these areas. It's very, very serious around the country. The situation is bad. So what I foresee is one of several possibilities. One possibility is the government starts to crack down hard, and there are elements in the government who want to crack down hard. If they crack down hard, they will likely impose their authority. The problem is then what happens to popular democracy. The second possibility is that this state of what they call ungovernability continues for a while. The right wants to bring down Maduro, but they don't want to bring him down electorally. They want to bring him down by mass activity, which comes perilously close to the way in which fascism operates, generating a mass movement. That's what they're trying to do. And to some extent, they've been successful in that. Whether that mass movement can sustain itself and can bring down the government, I don't know. I don't think that's likely. I think the more likely outcome is that harder line positions inside the government will win, and that will distort and change, not necessarily explicitly, the nature of government, and will harden it up. And then some of the people inside government whose interest in people's power is highly questionable may become more and more dominant.